Everyone knows that Padma is bad, but I feel like people have it wrong exactly how bad she is and why she is bad. With the right deck, I do believe that she can perform decently well and actually have winning matchups in unexpected places. I have a theory called bad card theory of gravity, where people who want to play one bad card think that the way to do that is just to throw in other bad cards at the problem. And I think Padma has kind of fallen victim to this. People throw piles and piles of situational chargeables thinking they'll all suddenly become good, but they won't. Padma can only charge one thing per turn maximum. You just need a few premium targets that are both generally usable as well as like really good when extra charged, and then just have like one win con, just like all the other decks. To demonstrate this, I built this control Padma list, which uses the unbelievable econ of Mystic, Ghost Tongue, and Anakin to have a massive pile of cash that doesn't actually require any interaction. That way you can turn your ID into a crushing late game with the big breakers from Shaper. You can spark them out for cheap, and the one single cataloger actually locks things down completely once you're done setting up. There are definitely some bad cards in here. You might have noticed Daig and Hippocampic, but you'll see that these cards actually cover important blind spots of the deck, and so justify themselves pretty well. My first replay is what I would describe as a crushing game, showing how a runner can use late game, long-term control options to just like squeeze the life out of your opponent and basically just have inevitability throughout, while managing various threats. So I'm up against a Orb list. So immediately, like that's a bad start. Orb is probably the best ID in the game, scariest thing to see. Specifically, and I don't know this yet, but this is actually like a rig shooter Orb list with multiple copies of Stavka and running a full suite of SDS drone deployments. So you'd think that like this is worst case scenario for a deck that runs two enormous programs without a super easy way to recur them, but I'll show you tricks. So the game starts off pretty poorly as far like for the odd player. So we've got here 3 installs, which is going to be one of them is Spin Doctor, Regolith, and a Anthill, I believe. Which, as far as I'm concerned, is like, basically a disaster. No deck can really trash all of these expensive things. I assume that they're more expensive than these ended up being, actually. But I get to do a pretty powerful thing. I get to install Dr. Nuka, which is a card that you want to be playing in your runner decks anyway. Then I can run R&D and charge the Dr. Nuka. A charge on Dr. Nuka is exactly as good as having a diesel in your hand that you're not allowed to have. So that's pretty good. If your identity was just click add diesel to your hand, that would be a very strong identity. And this is actually better than that because the diesel doesn't even take up a hand space. So this is strong. I don't get anything from the thing. I think I access a SDS actually, but there's no way for me to steal that really. Like it would cost everything. So I don't interact with that. I just install my Anakin to get long-term draw, and I get my credits back up with a creative. We tick along. Oh no, it's an anthill. That's pretty bad news. And we see here that yes, I did see the SDS and the anthill. So the mandatory rules draws and SDS. The anthill draw was a basalt, and they spend a click to draw, and it's another SDS. So immediately terrible draw from the opponent. It doesn't end up being like the end of the world. They do have a Spin Doctor here, so they can fix their hand. But this is your primary win condition against Orb anyway. Hoping that the Orb draws poorly is the main way that most runner decks win against Orb, which is awesome. So the Ice HQ, because that's where all their agendas are, and they don't want me just to like wander on in. And then they have to keep playing. They extract their anthill to go and find Hollow Man, so they actually have something to do with all of these agendas because they can only hide 2 of them with Spin Dock. Meanwhile, I don't know just how flooded they are. Maybe I could have had a better read than I did, but I just keep playing. I draw with my Nuka. I get my Ghost Tongue down nice and early. A turn 2 Ghost Tongue, this must be. Delightful. The earlier you get Ghost Tongue down, the more value you can squeeze out of it, and the better it will be, and it will pay itself off really fast. So a one cost buyer bands is going to sort out whatever this is. I'm going to throw down a dag, I'm going to put some money on it, and I get to spend one to run, trash a regolith, and install my dag. That's delightful. I check R&D and draw a diesel by charging the nuker. That's pretty strong too. And you can see the semblance of the engine is arriving. I've got a spark in hand as well. So before you know it, things will be coming together. They play some cards. They play a humanoid, an SDS, and they have not actually spun back any of these agendas. So maybe their HQ is feeling okay. Oh no, so they then extract the SDS so that they can spin it back. My bad. Cool, I just keep drawing up. The step one of the deck is basically to draw most of your deck, which you can do pretty easily. Most of the deck is either draw or money that flows quite freely. Anakin's drawing cards for free every single turn. I'm drawing free diesels by running R&D. These one-cost buyer bands are unbelievably efficient. Turns out when buyer bands goes from 2 to 1, it goes from being good to amazing. Throwing down a free Mamie. You'll have to see that. And now I've got 2 sparks in hand and I'm feeling fine. I can do with a little bit more money, but you can see I've got a gamble here. So I play that. That is a gamble that gives me 5 because of Ghost Tongue. I discard my other Ghost Tongue because obviously don't need that. And my hand is looking pretty sweet. They draw some ice and they use their humanoid to actually go and make a bunch of money, draw a bunch of cards. Oh, the silly thing that Op can do with humanoid, man. They use the humanoid to fetch a spin doctor, so they functionally draw 5. And they have a spin doctor again. It's a complete nonsense. They throw down their cards. They play 2 pieces of ice there. And they've got their best Outspire ready to score. They also get ready to spin back another SDS. Okay, I get my Mystic money and I immediately rip Spark. Pulling a Lobby is usually what you want to pull out first because it can break the most types of ice, and most cards that Obs run are barriers. They run very few code gates, and the code gate that they have is Afshar, which you can't actually fully break to get the Lobby counter, which is super annoying. So you would think that this match would be like a non-starter, right? Like, oh, okay, sure, you got the best deck in the game, or one of them. It's running like a bunch of barriers, can stack them really high, runs almost no code gates, and the sentries destroy programs and the agendas destroy programs. It's like, how do you win? Well, I'll show you how you win. You start with running R&D, charging your Lobby so you can actually have some counters. Then you have a look at HQ. So the reason I'm looking at HQ is not because I actually care about this access, it's because trashing Holyman is a must, and I don't have Ben Hoffetting to do that yet. Afshar, yeah, that's expected. Obviously, if this was Winchester, it sucked as well, but you know, you can't play around everything. I just need to get the Holyman because I just can't let Holyman exist. And I keep being efficient. They install some more cards. So now they have a Yakov for money. They've got a Tranquility for more money, and they've got a Basalt. So by getting rid of that Holyman, I remove their immediate scoring windows. This is kind of like threat assessment that you have to do playing a control deck. You can't actually just sit back and do nothing. Letting them Holyman out without contesting it is pretty bad. I show them my deck to reveal the Orca using the second spark, and that means I'm now pretty much safe to most things, as long as I have about 6 credits, which is what Orca needs to break a big Stavka. But I am limited on Lobby counters. You can't let your Lobby run out of counters, you just immediately lose if that happens. So you always got to have at least 1 on. You can supplement with Stone Chip a little bit. Goes taller and taller with barrier, 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 so it's like, again, this matchup shouldn't be winnable. The third spin doctor gets popped, and they keep progressing towards having as much money as they could possibly use, and I rip a burner. Burn is a good card in this deck because it can put things on top of R&D to make your R&D run much nicer. And it's also just good. It disrupts, it slows the corp down by a massive amount, especially against, like, you find it surprisingly useful against things like asset decks. because they can't always draw unlimited cards. Alco can, that's why it's so good, but a lot of asset decks can't just refill their hand if you burn away all their good stuff. What do I see? I see this. I see 3 of these 4 cards, and I missed the agenda. It's kind of fine that I missed the agenda, but if I saw it, I actually would have put the SDS to the bottom, fun fact, because I just don't want to have to deal with it if I can possibly avoid it, and I win the late game, not them. So I actually add the Anthill to the bottom, and I put the... What do I put at the top? Anthill to the bottom, and Regolith to the bottom. So I'm still thinking about that money a bit, I guess. They Stavka me. That's fine. I was prepared for Stavka. It actually gives me a lot of counters because Orca charges. So now my low is actually up to 4, which is enough to contest this server with 3 barriers. Not got money for that, but that's fine. And I just see an unseen. I just keep setting up. So now I've got my Hippocampic installed as well. So I have pretty much every card in the deck that can be installed now. I've got Fencer for trashing. I've got Mystic for my events. I've got my programs to break every type of ice in the game. Got Draw. I've got this unbelievable efficiency engine. You can see I'm playing a 0-cost pinhole right now. I have the extra hand size. I've got a Nuka down, which will be useful. Daig is going to keep charging me up on crucial turns. You'll see how much that can matter. And I've even got Stone Chips installed. So this is as set up as I can be. And it's only turn, it's turn 8 of a very, very slow deck. So this is not so bad. So now you can see my deck is kind of thinning down to just be the gas. I've got 2 overclocks in hand. Each of these overclocks is a run with 5 money because it's a free overclock with Ghost Tongue. And you can actually see these Harmony AR therapies. Each one of these is going to shuffle in more Sure Gambles, which are going to eat my Mystic money and give me 5 on top of Ghost Tongue. It's going to be more overclocks. It's going to be more gas. It's going to be good. And is this the agenda install? It is the agenda install. So this agenda is going to be a disaster because it's going to hit one of my 8-cost, 10-cost programs. What do I do about it? I overclock R&D, of course. They don't res the Biowac because it doesn't actually cost me very much to break with overclock credits around. Although this deck, I think, is designed just to pay the 14. You don't actually use the forfeit text ever. And then I just touch him a virus and I just trash it, I think. Then I creative back up and I get Hollow Man. This is the worst thing that can happen to you in life. Is a SDS trashes your 5 counter Lobisomu. But I'm an adaptive person, I can come back. So my Mystic's fully juiced, so you can see I've got 9 credits here. I'm going to spend some of them to draw with Stone Chip. I'm going to Ritual first, because I want a Spark of Inspiration in my hand. I'm going to play Harmony AR Therapy for 1 Mystic credit. With that Harmony, I shuffle back in Burner, because it's really good. Creative Commission, because it's also really good. Lobisomu, so I can reinstall it. And then an Overclock and a Sure Gamble. These guys come back, and that way I can Spark of Inspiration back out my Lobisomu again. And now we're cooking. They do choose to res the Biowac this time. And we fully break it with Orca for only 4. Which gets me 2 Lobi counters because I'm running R&D and I've broken a Sentry. I do choose to spend 2 to get another access. So I still have no points against this deck that is clearly perfectly situated to beat mine. But we'll see. She has more credits than I can possibly deal with. Money is just not a thought. Like, controlling orb money is just not really possible. It's unlike every other deck in the game. Basically, don't concern yourself with too much with how much money orb has. They get it for free. I do choose to trash Regolith because I need to spend my Fencer credits somewhere, and actually they can fetch a 1-coster with Regolith, and that could be annoying. So it could be like a, maybe another Tranquility or something. I don't actually know what they would get. and I rig up my Game Dragon. So here's a cool thing. Game Dragon is a big part of why I'm playing this deck now, because it came out in Elevation. These cards existed before, and Spark also existed before, so this package of breakers is known. But this is a new innovation. I'm not sure if anyone else has done it, but I did it. It can't be on like AI icebreakers because that would be too good. But Lobisome you can break two different types and it's not an AI. So by attaching your Game Dragon to Lobi, that 3 strength that it starts with is 3 strength for all the barriers and all the code gates. And when it sticks like high strength as you run through like a Leo server or something like that, doesn't matter how many bronze, MICs, whatever's they've got, it's going to have high strength for all of them. So it's kind of doubling the effectiveness of Game Dragon, which is really good to do. So it's very efficient. It's going to get through all the Mascarovkas for 1 less without having to pay for the strength. They find another agenda and they jam it. Okay. And then they opt for the 4th barrier. So how do I beat a SDS on top of a Hollow Man on top of 1, 2, 3, 4 barriers? Well, I shuffled in a pinhole threading, so I'm just going to pinhole threading for free and kill the Hollow Man. That gives me another turn, and time is money for this deck. You can see by playing all of these Harmony AR therapies and drawing through my deck, I've curated my hand to what I would say is quintessentially the most beautiful control hand that you can possibly have. Like, look at that. This is 15 credits on top of 3 runs, and each one of these is basically a free turn because they have to redraw the cards that I chuck on top if I'm doing that. So we're sitting pretty. Another ice comes down. How do I deal with a 5-stack all of barriers is probably what she's thinking. Surely I can get away with just double advancing my agenda. Oh, I think not. I will overclock your R&D to charge Lobi, and then I'm going to use Orca to also charge Lobi, so I get up to 5 counters. I use my cataloger to rearrange the cards however I like. I don't think I see anything when I do this. Then I'm going to overclock down again this server over here. I'm going to break the envelopment. When you break envelopment, they get to trash it, so they're going to find another Stavka. It doesn't really matter too much. Overclock keeps going. Another envelopment, that's fine. I was already at strength, so it's just another 4. I'm letting her gain the money off these Mascarovkas because, again, it's odd. You can't. They don't think about money. They get to cheat. They don't have to actually play properly. And I steal the agenda, meaning I get to pick which breaker goes. It doesn't really matter. I can't run much of anything without my breakers, like without both of them. So I choose to let Orca go. Maybe that, I mean, if I let this one go, I'll also lose the Game Dragon is the thing. So another expensive breaker is down. How does Dolbob win this one? Well, I'm going to burner here. And the reason I'm burnering here is I catalog it. I ran R&D successfully earlier this turn, meaning catalog is online to see this top card. Now, this one isn't an agenda, the one that's on top now. But if there were any agendas in hand, I could actually put them on top and still use the cataloger, kind of like a build your own deep dive. And also it deals with any measured responses that they might be sitting on. So I'm going to chuck the measure response to the bottom. And I think I put a Winchester or something on top. So they have to redraw the Winchester, draw. They do find a humanoid. And they place one of the Winchesters to stop getting burned quite so brutally. I shuffle it back in my Orca, so I'm going for another round. Then I mess up a creative, and then I figure it out. I let my Fencer go. It's time to think about actually winning this game. They play a Basalt Spire and another barrier. So now we're sitting at another 4 barriers. I only have 1 breaker installed and does not have enough charges to get through here. And even touching this Basalt does not win me the game. So how does Dolbob get himself out of this pickle? Well, he draws some cards because it's really good. And then he looks very excited to see some Sure Gambles in my hand. Sure Gambles with Create, with Mystic, with Ghost Tongue, these games gone on so long, like you can see how much I'm squeezing out of these repeated value cards. This is now turn 15. That means I've gone like, 15-ish credits off Mystic already. I just play Orca from my hand. It's expensive, but you got to do what you got to do. Okay, now that I've played my Orca, I can get through R&D. I think I just farm off the Stavka to get the 2 counters. Because actually without Hollow Man here, you can't score this Basalt. So double advance happens, and then gain credit just to storm. Okay. Well, that's completely fine. I'm going to have another look at R&D. Make sure that you're not drawing anything unsupervised. And I use Cataloger so I know what's on top here. Then I run the remote. There's 4 stacks of barriers. That's fine. My Lobusomi breaks them all trivially. Spending 1 per Masquerade because money is fake. And I find, what's this? It's 3 points. That's all very good. I get to charge up some stuff. I get my Mystic money. And then I reveal my evil plan, which was clicking the button of Cataloger to steal the Above the Law that I put on top for the final point to win that game. You can see that even if the game didn't end there, I could probably have just seen the top 4 cards of every turn that happened from then on. So even if they tried to break lock, I could just make sure they never saw anything. Seeing the top 4 cards, meaning even if you mandatory draw and then draw, I still got it. So even with this matchup, which you'd think would be impossible, even with these SDSs, the Stavkas, the Biowax, barriers on barriers on barriers, it's all good. There's nothing that this deck can't beat, even though, obviously it is program disruption is still really annoying. Just being able to shuffle the thing back in and then spark them back out is efficient enough that it is manageable in slow matchups. But you're probably thinking okay, so it's a slow deck that can win against slow Corp decks. This is a very heavy ob deck. It's not one of the svelte, quick ones. Prove to me that this deck can beat a deck that's actually doing something fast. So I should have that ready for you in the next replay. Here we have a game against Thulele, a more brutal, high damage, well, not high burst damage per se, but high disruption asset deck. So you might be unimpressed, thinking okay, so yeah, you spent $1 bajillion and resources having expensive breakers, you can break a lot of ice. Who cares? Well, what if I told you that Captain Padma can actually deal with other stuff as well? I'll show you. We play relatively normal start. They have to ice R&D because it's Padma. You can't just let her run for free like I did in the first game. It just gave me so much draw and allowed me to set up very quickly. But I've got some good cards. I've got Nuka, which is always good, and I've got the start off with Ghost Tongue. Now there is something to be said for just don't take the core damage from Ghost Tongue. But what I find is if you have it early enough, it's so much value. It's so completely busted with how much money it saves you that you just play it anyway. It doesn't matter that it makes ontos easier. It doesn't matter that it's easy to die. There's other redundancies in the deck for that. So I discard Harmony. You can Harmony back Harmonies, so don't be worried about overdrawing and then just discarding a few cards. Asset. How do I deal with this? Well, we draw. Unfortunately, we can't keep charging the Nuka. The reason we can't do that is because the ice here could be something like a Jaguarundi. In fact, that's kind of what I'm expecting. Sometimes these Thule lists literally only run Jaguarundi, and that's it. So you can't just run whatever. It turns out this is actually, they're on a harmonic suite, which is a bit odd. So this would have been fine to just charge Padma, but I'm going to just keep playing. And I'm worried about like bottoming out a little bit, but I do have a sure gamble in my hand, so that saves me. And this Fencer, you'll see how insane Fencer is. They actually advance a card, so they have played a Dupestad and advanced a Stegodon, so they're up to some shenanigans. I play my first Spark, which finds me the Orca. This kind of instills me with confidence to run into Jaguarundis, or potential Jaguarundis, because I don't think that any of the code gates or barriers are going to be very scary. So I could just run into this. It's just an Echo, like, it's fine, I'll bounce. Their money is pretty tight, they're on 6 credits. So my board state at the moment, a card draw every turn. I think pretty much unconditionally you can say that Anacam is a card draw every turn. Burst in case I run into some trouble. And I can break Jaguarundi. And all of my events cost 1 less with Ghost Star. Pretty efficient. I'm looking forward to getting this Fencer installed so I can deal with more of these assets every turn. Draw more with Nuka. Check if this is a Jaguarundi. It's not, it's a Pulse, so it's another turn where I don't get Fencer installed because Pulse makes you lose clicks. So this is technically like a bad face check, but I'm not that fussed about it, to be honest. The issue is that they now have a good opportunity to res this Dupestad and actually use the Stegodon. So they score out the Stegodon and they deal an extra core damage to me. So now I've only got 3 hand size. Bit of an issue, but I can kind of fix that with this deck. I do get the Fencer down. I pinhole. I'm not scared about like this being an asset, obviously. I just don't want to take more core damage than I have to, so I'm going to be pinholing this Dupestad out from behind the ice. So take that down. And I use creative to juice up 5 money, regardless of how little you had before, is a lot. So you really can't bottom out too easily on this deck, because once you've installed Ghost Star, you know, you just need anything. There's also strike funds in here, so you don't need any credits to get back into the game. Not to mention the 3 overclocks. They advance out their Illiviga and actually do some tricks to get extra money on their Regolith, which is fun. That makes Regolith a pretty high priority target, and you can see I've got these 2 Biobands in hand. Each of these cost 1, and I can use them to trash things worth 4 and draw cards while I do it. So this is pretty exciting. I absolutely will spend 1 to run, trash this card, install my Hippocampic. What's that? Back to 5 hand size. In fact, I'll play it again, draw back up, install my Day, because I can see they're on a lot of small agendas. This is going to be helpful for charging up my Nuka, giving me back my hand size. Like, even if they Dupestad everything from now on, I never lose hand size because of the Hippocampic redundancy. And then I last click to just get the extra Nuka. Basically, Diesel is good, so I will take a Diesel. They install and advance a salvo testing, thinking that there's no way this guy can just break a barrier, right? Well, I can break a barrier. I pull out Lobby. I go to no counters on Lobby here. And the reason I do this, you should never do this, but I will do it because I know what I'm doing. And I know what I'm doing. I can see a code gate that I can run to recharge it. And I don't think they'll like over install it. So I take that salvo. You can use Fencer money to not have to pay that too, which is really nice. And I do lose the click, so that's fine. They are scrambling. Look, I've completely dealt with their board. I still have money. I still have card draw. I still have hand size. And what do they have? They have 2 points. So they just keep throwing out cards. How can Padma possibly deal with everything? Well, I'm not going to deal with everything. Part of playing a control deck is just saying, that's yours and this is mine. And what's mine is R&D. So I'm going to take some charges, get my Lobby counter back from the code gate, and take a look. Also install my Mystic to get some long-term value, not perceiving anything here to be probably too scary. And strike fund for more money and account draw. Hand's not looking great, but you know, I've got a Nuka here, I can fix it. What do they get up to? They hedge fund back up to money and kind of pass, so giving away too much time. This was a pretty bad turn for them. They maybe had a window to do something. It's truly over now. I draw out with my Nuka, I get more charges, on my Lobby for breaking the code gate, and Padma was charging Lobby as well, just to make sure that I can break as many barriers as they happen to throw at me. I hit a random onto, which is really good news for me because I am taking core damage. I am going to take core damage at some point at least. I just overclock through here thinking whatever important thing is going to be here I will just take. It's actually a Nightmare Archive, so a bad value overclock, but you know, I was going to discard down anyway, so I'm not too fussed about losing an overclock. They get to single advance out an onto, so that's pretty scary. So they've just spent almost no resources on getting points, but it's too late. I'm fully in control now. I have my cards installed. My Mystic value is going to be give me as much money as I can need. My offense is going to trash anything they could hope to install. My extra hand size, I'm on 6 hand size with 3 core damage. You know, like, I can't die regardless of what silly cards they might be running. They might be on Measure of Response, doesn't matter. Nightmare Archive, okay, I'll tank a core. I don't... all the ontos, there's one onto left, but it doesn't win you, so... I tank the core just because I don't think the downside's very bad, and I can always get the hand size back easily. And then I take the Silivigar, which was important, because otherwise the last onto might actually kill me. And you can see all of these agenda steals are charging up my card, so I can draw as much as I want, I have as much hand size as I need, and I can break whatever I want very, very cheaply. I take a net damage from Mystic, I think, but it hits a event, so it actually draws me a Fennecan, and I'm looking forward to using these strike funds to empty up off the Fennecan next turn. Watch how much I get. They install advance over here, perhaps wanting to bluff that it's a trap. I have the luxury of not caring because of how much I'm winning by. So I sure gamble here. I'm at 4 credits. I sure gamble up to 13 credits. You get to just read the card. Event, gain 9. Yeah, it is that good. So I overclock down here thinking, how bad can it possibly be? And they just concede because it's an agenda. And then they immediately leave. So yeah, it doesn't matter if your opponent's being nasty or fast, like with their deck. You can deal with it. Like, it's a slow deck, so if they're really fast, you're gonna sometimes fall behind. But yeah, there's redundancy on redundancy. It doesn't matter if your programs get trashed, there's ways to deal with that. It doesn't matter if you're taking core damage, you can get the hand size back. And I do have one more. I'm usually only going to do 2 replays, but there's a very fun third one to show just how bad things can be, and you can still win with Padma. We're back against Ob. It's another very similar, possibly exactly the same list, which is the heavy Res Biowak, Rig Shooter, multiple Stavkas, SDS Obs, i.e. You should not be able to win with a Lobasomu deck against this thing. And I very nearly don't, I will say, not to spoil anything, but this one's brutal, and if you don't believe that this deck can win games after this, then I don't know what to tell you. Also, against Dungeon Mixter, which is a delightful player that I've met many times in Reading. I think they're from Reading. Anyway, we triple install ice. So this is actually good when I see this, because I think, oh, they're going slow. So this is not going to be like a fast jamming ob, which can be a big issue, because obviously you can't really contest anything until you have your programs installed, which can take some time. But triple install ice means that, like, probably this is not that. This is going to be my pace. And getting Ghost Tongue down on turn 1 means that every card I play ever is amazing. I even hit a strike fund with the Ghost Tongue damage, which is cool. So I draw up and play some cards. I go to 10 credits on turn 1, which is pretty good. I buy Ben's Archive, which is not very optimal, but I get to draw and install this Anycam. And if you install Anycam with Fire Bands or Rigging Up, you actually get a free card draw from it, because it's like installed before the actual thing is trashed, which is good. 4 hand size now, so I've got to play 2 cards. I just money, and now I'm at 17 credits with an Anacam and a Ghost Hunt down on turn 2. And absolutely no way to contest what's happening over here. And what's happening is going to be pretty bad, because it's sorry, Yakov again, which I don't know whether Yakov is good. It always just seems like Ob has so much money that any card that gives them money, I just don't care about that much. But Humanoid's a pretty crazy card because it's going to pop, draw 5, install 2, and then chooses not to play the Extract, which seems crazy to me. They just don't play a... No, they should have played their Extract. I think that's wrong. But whatever. Ritual to draw 4 is delightful. I get to install lots of juicy things. I get my cataloger down nice and early. And I run and trash. I've got such a glut of money that I just trash a Svigator straight up. They res an Antil and I cry because I don't have a bin hold. They double ice their R&D with a barrier under a sentry. And they summon out a Hollow Man using Extract. What did they trash for the... Oh, they trash their Anthill with the Extract to grab Hollow Man, which is a big problem because I can't deal with that. They're going to get this Basalt Spire. Unless I can deal with that by just happening to draw into Pinhole. So you can get a little bit lucky. I also find my Lobby, which is really nice. Unfortunately, they keep playing. They play an Anthill War and don't do too much else. And I'm like, okay, I've got this Lobby down. I would like to contest this. Surely I can just run R&D, right? Well, I can. I'm just going to bounce off as I'm not going to break it because I want to be on 2 counters so that when I break this and access the agenda, I can deal with it. I can still have a counter left because if you run out of counters again, you just lose straight up. So this turn goes really well for me. And I get to stop their agenda push early, which is super, super good. They just get their Regolith. I can technically get in by bouncing and bouncing, but I choose just to run it and just say, you can just have money. Bouncing here is giving you 2 each time as well. I just don't care. And they play a Stavka on top. I make a poor decision here and think, oh, I'll just keep bouncing and keep charging at my Lobby. This is kind of a game-losing decision because there are multiple Stavkas in the deck, and I probably should have thought, why would you be putting an ice on top if it isn't Stavka? That's what I should have been thinking. But I lose Lobby. Okay, well, I'm a bad player. But I can Harmony AR Therapy it back and make that work. So that's all good. It's going to slow me down, obviously, because I don't have things installed anymore. They keep developing. I now have no programs installed, so I could use the run to run through Stavka with no tax and get a Nuka counter, which is as good as generating a Diesel, as I say. And I like Diesel, so I Diesel. 5 more cards. Get some Fencer down, which is good. Maybe good. I mean, we'll see. More getting counters, and I find Lobby and play him again. That's pretty cool. Still a long way off actually being able to contest or do anything though, and in this time they have developed Hollow Man, they have developed their SDS drone deployment, and they're going to score it out and immediately kill the werewolf who just appeared, the Lobisomia. So I'm back to being completely programless, looking down a wall of trash programs in the run barriers, feeling despair in the pit of my stomach, and I complained to Dungeon Mixer at this time. But whatever, okay, I spark out my Orca, I play more card draw, and the life goes on. I'm down to 9 cards in the stack. This deck absolutely shreds through its card count, especially with how long it likes the game to go. They keep jamming. They jam a humanoid. Probably could have gotten away with jamming a agenda here. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't do that. But I pull out the lobby and I'm ready to start contesting again. Except I've kind of spent all my money doing this. I consider pinholing through here, but I actually changed my mind because I don't have enough money to do it. So I just run and get 2 charges from running with Padma and getting the Orca counter with lobby. Then they get a bajillion card draw and a bajillion money. And they even extract, so they have 36 credits now, so they can just, yeah, this is when you gotta consider just how much insane amounts of money Bob gets for free. My mystic value though is ticking up. The game's going long, so all these like recurring value things, this ghost tongue that doesn't just discount my entire deck, but also the cards I shuffle back into the deck also get discounted. You know, it's starting to really stack up. The fencer, not the fencer, the mystic credits also just juicing. Overclock's going to be amazing for contesting this. It's going to break all the ice here because I let the 2 money fire for effectively nothing because Overclock has 0 to play. They have no defensive upgrade, so I do get in here. And I access STS, and I'm like, no, it can't be the 3rd time a program gets destroyed in this game already. It just can't be. But okay, the 3rd program is down. I need to get that program back before I can contest anything because there are no servers that I can get into. Whatever, I'll figure it out. So we get back into things. A new server is developed with another humanoid. They're just going gas, gas, gas. I contest the spin dock because I consider it a threat to have up there. They do use the humanoid and they jam their Basalt Spire with no Hollow Man, importantly, so they can't actually score it just yet. They do have 3 of these in hand, so 1 wrong step and I am just dead. So, can your plucky hero deal with 2 barriers and a beer whack from having no Orca installed at all? Make that 3 barriers and a beer whack. And yeah, I mean, I've got a decent amount of money actually. So, well, I play Harmony, put in all the good cards again. Specifically in this pick, I chose Creative Commission, Orca, Overclock, Strike Fund, and Sure Gamble, which is just loads of money. I draw. So no, I just play Spark of Inspiration to find the Orca that I just shuffled in. Fun fact, Anacam is not optional, but because Harmony AR Therapy removes itself from the game, it never actually gets trashed. So you can Harmony and Spark without risking drawing the Orca that you just put back in there. So that's actually a kind of useful thing to know. And then we're overclocking R&D, because I actually don't know that they've jammed here. I would like to just check the top 4 cards. They res a Stavko and get the Hollow Man, which is very scary. Because now I do need to contest this remote server. I've catalogued. And what do I find? It's the last, it's a 2-pointer. Even if that wasn't the case, I actually could have overclocked down here and I would have been perfectly fine. I would have stolen the last points there either way. These 3 Magician hands, unfortunately, never can be played. So yeah, again, 3 programs got trashed that game. One of them was completely my fault, but 2 of them were just like part of doing business. Was able to survive that and keep going. Was able to deal with all the threats as they came up. And basically just like crush the life out of an orb that had enormous ice, infinite money, and Hollow Men popping up left and right. So, yeah, Padma is not great. She struggles with really fast decks. I don't think she beats Alco. I think she straight up, this deck just beats Leo. And if you guys are having trouble with Leo, you're getting like annoyed having to take such long games against it, play this deck. You'll have a blast against Leo. You can lose, but like you kind of just win most of them because even if like whether they go fast or slow, you can usually keep up with them. You can contest the remote server because you've got Game Dragon. You can catalog, and they just don't have great ways to break the catalog. There's so much you can do to them, and yeah, because they have no damage, you can also just not install Epic Epic if you don't want to either. If you want to make Leo even better, you just want to troll, you can actually put in Basilar, but don't put in Basilar because it's bad in every other matchup. But it's actually I've tried it get with Leo. Don't do it, but if you know you're going to be playing against Leo, you can do it and just have some fun. But yeah, don't do that. Against other decks, Ob it can beat. It's not great against Ob, especially an Ob that's running 3 SDSs. But I'll tell you what, I fought 2 of them today and I beat both of them. It's not great against. It's not great against Alco because it has so many assets, and this deck is just kind of money and draw, which is good. But you need like cheap. You need like a propeller and stuff against Alco. I feel. You can win. Like I've won against Alco plenty, but it's not so simple. What else is important? Epiphany can be annoying because it just depends on draw with Epiphany, I feel. If you get good draw and you get your ghost tongues down and you just like print infinite money, you can clear all the tags, you can do okay. If nothing comes together and you just get locked out, then it's pretty miserable. But yeah, it's perfectly playable. I'm going to link the list in the description, and I hope you guys have some fun with it. Maybe innovate on it. Maybe make it even better. Thank you.